What's up, y'all? It's Dave Life with the Chitown Atlas podcast, and today I'm going to go live with a good friend of mine. She's a nurse from Chicago, Illinois, Tracy G, aka Tracy. Getting you on, Tracy. Come on, let's see you come in the podcast. Testing.
Hi, Dave.
What's up, Tracy?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, sis. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm well.
You doing well?
That's the important thing.
So, right now, as we mentioned earlier, we wanted to go live, and what I'm doing right now is I'm recording an episode of my Chitown Atlas podcast. So everything that we talk about, I'm going to be able to edit and add articles or whatever we get into. I see you, Lena. I see you, Lady Lena. Chitown in the building. That's right.
Hi, Lena.
Chitown in the building. Let's see who else is on. I got my nephew. We know Jazz. Jazzy, what up? What up, Auntie?
How you doing?
Yeah, he in the building. So we got a couple people in the building.
That's great.
So I know, Tracy, you said you wanted to go live and talk about a few things. So let's just get into the topic at hand, which is Corona. I know there's a lot going on. Tell everybody a little bit about you. We know that you are a nurse in Chicago. Let me know kind of what you do. Let my viewers know what you do, and then we can get into some of the topics you want to cover and some of the topics I want to cover. I want to keep it to around 15 minutes,
Sure.
maybe
Okay.
maybe a little longer, but
All right. So I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for a while. And currently my institution, I don't want to say what facility I'm at, but
correct.
we have implemented measures to screen actually our employees as well. So before we come in the building, we have to go through the questions asking if they've been out of the country, those important questions. If they've been in contact with someone that has been infected with the illness within 14 days. Initially, they had us asking if they had any symptoms. It was a few symptoms, but they've changed it quite a few times. I think the CDC had updated it to a few more symptoms, but it was primarily, of course, fever, shortness of breath, coughing.
Right.
As you know, it spreads, of course. Contact is like one of the main ones. Of course, it can be aerosolized.
Mm-hmm.
So if people are coughing and sneezing, you know that when they sneeze and cough, all those little particles are suspended in the air for some time. So, and I've been to the stores. I don't know if you've been to some of the stores. You see people wearing their gloves and their masks.
Yeah.
They have implemented the social distancing. What is it, 6 feet?
6 feet at least, yeah.
Yeah, so I've seen the signs, and a lot of people are complying to that. Some of them, not so much. But they need to understand that if you think about in the past, when we've had flus, we weren't doing this.
Correct.
So, coronavirus is a multiple viral load there.
Yeah.
Virus. So
how is it on our healthcare professionals? Is it difficult? Like, do you guys have the safety equipment? I've seen people wearing not the N95 masks, but I've seen them wearing kind of like makeshift masks that are a little bit like softer on the edges, that are square. I've seen people wearing bandanas. I've seen all kind of people have worn trash bags to cover their body.
Yes.
What have you seen in Chicago and in your facilities? Do you guys have the equipment?
Yes. In my facility, my administrator is very tenacious about getting us what we need. She wants to make sure. I even got, I'll show you. They even gave us some goggles.
Yeah.
To protect your eyes.
I've seen those.
You got to protect your eyes as well. That gets into your mucous membrane. So
right.
It was important. I wear either that or my glasses. Even if I'm out,
yeah.
I'll put my glasses on and keep that social distance, that 6 feet.
Yeah.
I do wear gloves. I'm going to say that I do that.
Okay.
So when I'm out, I do wear the gloves.
Now, do they have enough for you to change every shift or what have you? How often you need to change?
Yeah. And they're trying to order more. I know that's been a problem. My sister works at a clinic, and they are having a hard time trying to get some supplies, but they have been getting them because, a lot of the institutions and facilities have their protocol for ordering things. So a lot of times they'll continually order. And to me, I'm like, if you have more than enough, that's even better. Even if you order more than what you need.
Correct.
Especially at this time, they need it.
Yeah.
There's places that don't have it. They're running out. I mean, they're using ventilators. They're actually having to put 2 people on ventilators.
Oh my God.
Sustain people. Yeah. So it's yeah. And I know it's not. They don't want to cause a panic.
Correct.
And we should do normally what we do. We wash our hands.
Right.
Hopefully, everybody washing their hands.
Right.
But washing their hands and covering your cough and your sneezes. Some people don't have the best hygiene, but we're hoping that we educate them about the importance of that.
Yeah.
Especially now.
I think it's important for us to share information. Myself as a non-medical professional, I think it's important for us to share information. That's why I get on my blog. I put up my articles. I see my friend Champ from Championship University. He joined. I see Nick Black joined. I appreciate people that tune in and listen. And like I was explaining to a few friends of mine, I'm not here to cause a panic, and I'm not here to speculate. What I'm here to do personally for Dave and DaveLifeTV is to just share information and try to get people to understand what's going on so they can take it serious. If we take it serious, then we can abide by the rules that are put out there, and we can slow down the spread of this pandemic. You already know it'll spike up, and then the medical professionals, we can only do so much, and everybody above that line won't get the care, and that's going to cause more casualties. So we want to slow down the spread and keep that curve low, below the medical line, not spiking up. So that's what I'm, trying to let people know. One thing I want to do, we're at the 7-minute mark. One thing I want to do, Tracy, is I want to talk about symptoms. I put up an article. I put up an interview where Champ interviewed his friend Tyrone, and unfortunately Tyrone is in the hospital, on his 3rd day. Now maybe his 4th or 5th day.
My prayers are with him.
Appreciate it. I have family members, that are going through it. I have close friends that are going through it. I said in my last video with Lady Lena from Talk Live Radio that I went through a scare of asthma, and I never had asthma in my life. And from what I hear, you went through the same thing.
Yes, and it was very strange because normally you don't hear of. We're in our older adult. Well, we're getting older, but
we're older.
If we've never been diagnosed with any type of asthma. So when my physician told me that, I said, "You got to be kidding!"
Right.
You've never told me that before. I've never been diagnosed with it. All of a sudden, I got this asthma.
Where'd this come from?
Exactly. So I'm like, what is the issue?
Now,
I know I have like seasonal allergies.
Now I've had sinus infections in pollen back when I lived in Atlanta. When I was younger in high school, I was running in some cold air trying to catch the bus, and I felt like I had a small asthma attack, but I never had an inhaler, and I never was diagnosed with asthma. But it is in my family. Now, the one thing my doctor asked me, because I had a panic attack added with a small asthma attack, my doctor asked me, "What have you been doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I've been smoking a lot of hookah." And she's like, "Are you still smoking cigars?" I'm like, "Yeah, but doing a lot more hookah now." And she just told me to stop. She said, your lungs are probably compromised. And the last video with Lady Lena on the Chitown Atlas podcast, which we're on right now, I was saying that I was diagnosed with asthma. Well, since then, I've been to the doctor and I got a better diagnosis. Now, I'm going to show people just a few quick products real quick. When I went to the doctor for asthma, she gave me albuterol, which was an inhaler for asthma. And from what I understand, this is an inhaler that you use for short-term acute, relief.
Yes, the rescue inhalers.
It's a rescue inhaler.
Yeah.
Correct. Now,
the other ones, like more common, are like the momentazone or the Advert disc. Those are maintenance ones. You do it every day.
Now this is
those are the steroids.
Now this is what my doctor told me. She said, I took the asthma. I took the albuterol. I was doing all of the things that I had mentioned to people before, such as an herbal remedy called Chest Clear. I was doing anything to help open up my airways, right?
Right.
Anything to help open up my airways. And it helped. It helped. But what happened is I had relief for a few days. And after about a week, I felt my chest tightening up a little bit more. I went back to the doctor and I'm like, hey, what's going on? So the doctor said, okay, let's do a full asthma test where I
Yeah.
breathed into a machine and did all of that. She checked my levels and I found out that I have early stage smoker's lung, and it is basically called COPD.
Yes.
What is that? Chronic obstructional
Chronic subject,
pulmonary
disease.
disorder. Okay, so right. So it's
Yeah.
early smoker's lung, right? And the doctor said, look, we caught it early. She said, you're still getting 95% of your oxygen. So she's like, you're not low, below 90. So she's
Right.
like, we can work on it. But she gave me this inhaler, which I want to show people. This thing called Spiriva Respimat. Spiriva Respimat. All right.
Yes.
Spiriva Respimat is an inhaler. It's kind of a big one that I have to take. I take it once a day. And
Yes.
like you said, it's one of those maintenance things where
It's
whether you're
maintenance.
having a symptom or not, you take it every day.
Yes.
Right. And it's a
Yes.
long-term thing which opens up your airways. Now, with all of this asthma and all this stuff going on, I was a little worried about COVID-19. I'm like, man, why do I have shortness of breath? What is going
Right.
on? I haven't had any fevers. I did have a dry cough initially.
Okay.
It tried to go to a wet cough, but I caught it and somehow got better. So now I don't really have a cough that much unless I'm not being hydrated. So what I want to tell my followers is, here's what I've been doing to maintain. The most important thing is, if you need an inhaler, get the correct one. So I found out that my lungs were compromised. I have early stage smoker lung, COPD. I have to use an inhaler. If I don't, I'm going to have problems. So number one, do that. Number two, do not overdo an inhaler that you don't need. I don't need albuterol. I have Spiriva Respimat. I can use that one on a daily basis. This one I only use if I'm in an acute problem. Right? So I learned that.
Exactly.
Now, real quick, Trace, and then I'll let you say what you need to talk about. Mucinex I take every day. This Mucinex helps loosen the phlegm in my chest, and when I feel like I'm short of breath or I'm tight, that Mucinex really helps. The most important thing is I drink so much water. You have to drink you have to drink 1/2 your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you divide that by 2. That's 100. That's 100. Convert that to ounces. So 100 ounces is what you have to drink per day if you weigh 200 pounds. So drink a lot of water. And I'm telling you from a fact, Tracy, when I feel shortness of breath or tightness in the mornings, or I just don't feel right, even before my inhaler, if I take my Mucinex and I drink enough water, I feel my symptoms getting a whole lot better. By the time I get that inhaler, I'm good to go. Now, I got to give you 2 more things and then I'll let you talk. The other thing is, my doctor said I have sinusitis, which is, swollen sinus glands. That's classic. I've been a nasal sounding guy my whole life. They say I sound like Snoop.
Me too.
Ever since I've been out here, they claim I sound like Snoop. You know what I mean? But so the doctor said, okay, and this is what got me. The doctor said, I'm going to give you Astelin. Astelin, which is, like a Flonase type. Where is it at? They
always order those nasal sprays.
Yeah, I wanted to show you. I don't have the bottle, but Astelin is a normal nasal spray, right? My doctor gave it to me, and it did work. The thing with Astelin is sometimes it can try to get down into your throat if you spray too much, or if you start to swallow. I didn't like all that irritation, so my mom was saying you can use a neti pot to flush your nose. I kind of like just a regular.
Your spray is that's a steroid too, right?
It is.
I gotta take my glasses off.
I'm
fogging up.
Astelin is I believe it's a steroid.
Steroid.
I believe so, yeah. So I did use Astelin the first 2 days, but since then, what I'll do is I'll use a saline rinse just to keep my nasal, passages moist. Because you don't want to keep it dry, because that'll make the virus give it an environment. Correct?
Yes.
So I didn't want to do that.
And they supposedly said that the virus is ambient between 50 and 70 degrees.
Really? Well, I can tell you, it was warm the other day in LA, and I went outside and I felt better just being in the warm air. So there's something to that.
Get some air and that sun. Yeah, that is important.
So we were talking about 2 things. We were talking about the chest, which I gave you the inhalers for the chest. We're in the nose right now, and I gave you the saline, or if you want to do the neti pot, which is the saline rinse where you turn your head and put the pot. That does flush the mucus, but you have to be very careful with that because you have to use distilled water.
The water.
If you use tap water, there's some bacteria in tap water that has caused brain damage to some people. It's a small case, but it can happen.
Right.
So you don't want to just use, tap water.
Right. Well, they say the septic system, the sewage system is, they what do they do?
And, yeah, they purify. They put
process
chlorine,
it is, but
all that.
supposedly they, it's safe. But I'm going to tell you, my clinical director, he said that, I don't know if people know this as well, but the coronavirus also lives in the feces. So,
I heard that.
Yeah. So, when you're flushing the toilet and it's aerosolized.
That part.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing.
So you got to keep your nose protected. I do want to tell people about this one product, and I swear by this. This is for the nose. I just got it, and I love it. Okay, so I'm talking about the Spiriva Respimat is for my airways, right, for my lungs.
Yeah. Your maintenance.
For my maintenance. The saline keeps my passages moist in my nose. Now, instead of using Astelin, right, which is a steroid, what I've started using is this natural Cold Be Gone.
Okay.
Now, check this out, Tracy. Cold Be Gone is plain and simple beeswax.
Beeswax.
But it's not beeswax. It's bees honey. It's bees honey.
Honey.
It's a specific type of honey from a specific type of bee, and it includes 2 ingredients: calibicromium and Lupha operculata sabodelia, something like that. These 2 active ingredients in this honey, it is antibacterial, antiviral, and it opens up your nasal passages. So here's what happens. You take this little tube right here and you open it up. You get a Q-tip, and you put a little bit on the Q-tip, and you put it right at the edge of the nasal passages. So you take the Q-tip, and you only want to go like to right here. You don't want to go all the way up into the nose.
Just in the nair.
Just in the front of the nasal passages. You get the Q-tip, put the honey on it, and you swab it around both of your nostrils. Now the thing is, if you're allergic to bees or bees pollen, don't do it. Like if you're allergic to honey or bee pollen, don't mess with it. But if you're not allergic to honey or bee pollen or any compound within honey,
use it.
Go for it. I'm telling you, Tracy, I don't even use Astelin anymore.
Oh, wow.
You're talking to someone that was super nasal. I felt like I was so swollen I couldn't breathe through my nose. Then I couldn't get enough air in my chest. So I'm double messed up, right? So I believe in my inhaler for my chest. Get the correct inhaler that you need. Okay. That opens up my airways. But this stuff right here, this shit right here,
some good stuff.
Man, listen, it opens my nose. I can breathe at night. I can get more air. I don't feel like I'm getting weak. It's amazing. Okay, and then last thing, we went from the chest to the nose. Now we're going to get to the throat. In the throat, another product that's made from bees honey. This is called B&U. B&U Propolis Raw Honey Throat Spray.
Okay.
Now, propolis.
How's that work?
I'm gonna tell you what this is. It's like a throat spray, like a chloroseptic.
Right.
But because it's made from 6% pure propolis, which is when bees lay eggs, the larva, they put this secretion around the larva, which is called propolis. It protects the larva from viral, and it protects the eggs from infection and bacteria. So this is a natural substance that God made.
Oh, wow.
It is antiviral and antibacterial. When you spray this stuff in your throat, it activates. You can feel it. Now, again, if you're allergic to honey or if you're allergic to beeswax, bee stings, don't do it.
Right.
But if you're not, when you put that in your throat, you feel like it coats your throat. It feels like chloroseptic. They have a little menthol in it. And you end up swallowing it, of course, because you put it in your throat. And what happens is it starts to kill whatever virus and whatever bacteria is trying to go from your nose to your throat to your chest. It kills it. So you got your Cold Be Gone, which is also bees honey. That's going to kill the virus in the nose. And then you have B&U Propolis Raw Honey Throat Spray, which is going to kill the virus in the throat.
Try that.
It works. And then whatever inhaler they give you. And I tell you, Trace, those things I think are keeping me out of the hospital, because if I really felt like I couldn't breathe, if I didn't have that inhaler, I'd be in a tough way. And if I didn't have something to open my nasal passages, I'd be in a tough way. And then just to build my immune system, I'm using super echinacea drops. I put that in my orange juice. Right?
Everybody swears by echinacea.
I believe it. I believe it. And astragalus.
Okay.
I've been using that in my orange juice as well. All right. And then the last thing is, I mentioned this one before, turmeric with black seed oil.
I think you said that before in one of your live feeds. Yeah.
I did. Those are the things that I have been using, and I really believe that it has helped me deal with any shortness of breath and any tightness. Now I'm not saying that this will prevent you from getting COVID-19, and I'm not saying that it's a cure. What I'm saying is, if you have any sort of symptoms where you feel like you can't breathe or you can't get your air, go to your doctor, get the correct inhalers, be proactive. I've seen my doctor 3 or 4 times in 3 weeks. I'm not playing around. I'm taking an active role in my own health care. Right?
Yeah, don't wait till it gets bad.
No, because you don't want to wait until you have to go to the hospital. Right. So I felt like I had an asthma attack, and I jumped on it. And whenever I feel any sort of tightness or shortness of breath, this stuff has been clearing it up in a major way.
That's great. You know what I also do, Dave? I also do part of my respiratory hygiene is deep breathing. I do a lot of deep breathing every day. I do it before I go to work, and it helps a lot. Because sometimes I feel, and I'm wearing that mask, sometimes I do feel like I'm suffocating. Yeah. So I just make sure I do that, and it helps a lot. Of course, keep your inhalers with you. Yeah, of course. You know, because if you need to use it, use it. Yeah. But it's important. I'm glad you brought them products up, because that's something I'll look into when I'm out, in the store.
Definitely.
Where did you buy them at? What store did you buy them at?
I get all of my herbal stuff from Whole Foods. Okay. And the B&U and the Cold Be Gone, I got that from CVS.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. I just stumbled across it, and it really works for me. The echinacea and the astragalus really works too, because that builds your immune system. And I can just tell you, you have to drink a lot of water with that stuff. You can't even though it's droplets, don't just put it in your mouth because it's very concentrated. So drop it in orange juice or water. Make sure you got 8 ounces of water. One more small product. A lot of people say you need alkaline water because you don't want to have an acidic pH. So I found this alkaline water filter jug. So I bought this at Whole Foods. It was $50. So I put my tap water in there, and let it filter through, and when it comes out, it's alkalinized. One thing I will warn you guys is alkaline water makes you move. It makes you move your
Yes, it does.
So
I drink it too.
Right, and I didn't know that. I ain't really understand that. So I found that out. I found out the hard way. So what I read is drink alkaline water in the mornings or in between meals or at night. Right. Do not drink it while you're having a meal, because that meal is going to flush right through you. The alkaline water is going to push straight through.
That's so true.
Like Epsom salts or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's a natural laxative, y'all. So it's good. So the goal of the things that I'm doing is to keep the mucus down, to keep the airways open, and to keep the nose open, and get any bacteria out of the ear, nose, throat, chest area.
And that is important. It's a part of your hygiene every day.
Absolutely. So Tracy, being in the medical field, how are you guys dealing with the number of total cases that are going up? I hear Chicago's going up a lot. New York is clearly going up a lot. Right now, if I look, the United States has 123,000 cases, 2,200 deaths, and 3,200 recovered. And right now, New York has 53,000 cases. New Jersey, 11,000. California, 5,000. Illinois, 3,500.
And we just had they said there was a first case of an infant dying from coronavirus.
Yeah, I've even heard of a case of, I saw this on the internet, I heard a case of a cat catching it from their owner. And what they're saying is, don't go out and panic yet. We don't know if we can give it to our pets. But in this one particular case, in an isolated case, they think that the owner had it, and then the cat ended up showing the same symptoms. So
yes, which is interesting because the animals have. Well, I know that the cats have coronavirus of their own. You know, there's
Yeah,
different
different
species or
strands.
whatever of it, strains. So it's only from the cat to cat. But I've never heard of it.
I heard of it
passing
once
amongst its
today.
owner.
They have to they're researching it. I don't know. But what I want to say to people is that it's spreading quickly. So,
Yes.
you know, you being in the medical field, I'm sure you've seen things on the front lines in terms of how quickly it's spread, or are people panicking?
Yeah. It is. You know, what you see is not a hoax. It's truly
Correct.
what's going on. And you know, when they put this national, well, it's not a national, but the 14-day quarantine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's important, but it's still. I mean, it's still going like a wildfire.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you, Dave, I read this, and I don't know how true it is, but there was an experimental drug to treat HIV. It's called leronlimab, and it's an injection that goes into the abdomen. I guess there was 2 cases in New York that were on ventilators, and they did use this experimental drug, and they took them off. So
really,
obviously, it helped them. Yeah. So you know, you hear some people were talking about the malaria drug, and
hydroxychloroquine.
It's and then there's a methylquinine, I think it's called, but it's more of I think it's an antibiotic for people who can't take the other drug. I think they were trying to use that as well, but they were using a lot of the antiviral ones for HIV.
Yeah,
and I mean, I don't know how much help it was, but
I know someone personally who's on the malaria drug, the hydroxychloroquine, I think it's pronounced.
Yeah.
And you know, they say that their spouse says that, you know, it's some improvement. They did come home from the hospital, but they're still resting. So I don't know. The doctor believes they're going to recover because they let them go home. But I don't know how effective that is. And I did hear that malaria drug, some people have bad reactions to it. So, you know, right now they don't have a vaccine. They're kind of grasping at straws. But this is why all of our followers on your page, my page, we should take it serious, and we should manage any sort of respiratory, sinus, any cold, any flu. Don't let it get to the point of pneumonia. Don't let it get to the point of bronchitis. No. Don't let it get to the point of shortness of breath, and you have to get oxygen. So in the coronavirus world, they have mild cases, severe cases, and critical cases.
Yes.
And from my understanding, mild means anything where you don't need to take oxygen. Yeah, we're kind of waiting on. There it is. You back? Okay. There we go. So I heard mild is anything where you don't need oxygen. And then if you need to take oxygen, it's considered severe. And if you're having any sort of organs failing, it's called critical.
That is critical, yes. When they're on that ventilator, it's a critical situation. But like you said, you know, it's important to do that. And a lot of people, too, if you are experiencing some symptoms, you know, even if they're mild, just quarantine yourself in a room. If you're in a house with other people, like for me, I'm by myself, so I don't allow anybody to come over at all. It's just I don't want to put them in any risk or them put me at risk.
Yeah.
So right now, I mean, I live next door to my daughter, Mariah. So I don't even go see her. She's, you know, she calls me on the phone and we video chat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I'm doing things now, now.
Yep. Same with my mom. She's in Atlanta, and I said, "Hey, Mom, do we need to come out there and see you?" She said, "Nope.
Yeah.
I got food. I'm safe." She was like, "You guys stay there. Don't come out here."
Yeah.
So
and tell Mom happy birthday.
I will. I sure will. So yeah, you know what it is? I think we just have to not panic.
Right.
If we have any sort of symptoms, talk to our doctor. Go immediately. Still keep your head about yourself. Don't panic. And do what you can. You know, take your water, improve your immune system with your vitamin C and all of your herbs. Take your temperature every day and make sure, you know, even if you feel, it's funny, even if you feel warm or cold, still take your temperature because you might not have a temperature.
That's true. This is true.
You know, there's times
because you may not have a fever. You may not have a fever.
There's like, for instance, if I take echinacea, I know it raises my metabolism. I get a little rush of heat. So sometimes, I get warm, and then I'll panic like, oh my god, I hope it's not Corona. But then
Right,
I'll take my temperature, and I'm like, man, 97.9,
fine.
98.2, I'm fine. So
You're fine.
yeah,
Your system's working for you.
that part.
Yes, your immune system is working for you.
Have you seen people recovering from this?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes, very mild. People with very mild symptoms seem to recover faster. And like you said, some people, they probably don't think that it's that, and they can go south very rapidly.
Yeah.
So this is why they put that quarantine in place. It's important. And another thing I wanted to add is that I know quite a few homeless people. When I go down to the city,
Yeah.
I see them before I get to the job.
Yeah.
And even before this all happened, I would make bags for them, and I would buy wipes, sanitizer, toothbrush, all of those type of hygiene products that they may not be getting. So I would give them bags. And the other day I saw one of the guys that I know, and he was asking me some questions about it, and I told him, and you have to make sure that you are washing your hands, and even though you're out in the street amongst the people, I said, do your social distancing. It's the same thing. Wherever you're at, do that, and usually I'll try to give him as much water and stuff, because he's out there. Where are they getting the stuff at if they can't get in the stores?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we don't have money. That's another thing too. So I'm kind of concerned about that population.
The homeless population.
As well.
Yeah. The homeless population, the prison population.
Yes.
Very scary because
well.
they're confined, and some of them have roommates and they share cells. And
yes, and they're very tenacious about screening people as well, because they're trying to keep all the inmates healthy. And a lot of people don't understand, well, I can't go visit. Well, you got to understand, right now is not the time to do that. We don't.
Let me
want
tell you something.
Prison
prison and jail, those are closed environments.
Yes.
So, and they're not able to disinfect those cells every single day. So,
right.
It ain't safe in terms of bacteria, and viruses.
That's right. Right. And they have to explain that to them. They have to understand. We have to keep them healthy.
Yep.
So, you just have to, deal with that for now, and later on when this is over with, and it will be. I know that. We got to keep them healthy.
Yep.
Got to keep them healthy. Everybody's got to get screened.
Well, listen, Tracy, right now we're at the limit for the Chitown Atlas podcast.
Okay.
So I can shut down the recording and we can continue offline and just catch up.
All right. Okay.
But I really appreciate having you on. This is Tracy G, Tracy G.
No, thank you. I appreciate you, Dave.
and just so you guys know, we go back, 2007?
Yes.
2008, 2007?
We were on a movie set.
We were on a movie set together. For y'all that don't know, we both are actors. We do our thing a little bit. She was. We both met on the set of The Dark Knight in Chicago. I had a ball, and we got to shout out our homegirl Nakia. What up, Nakia?
Nakia, yeah. Look, we were all praying together before we were on the set.
We were praying together before we. Let's go. We were praying together on set and all that. So it was. That was something else. So I appreciate having you on. Keep me informed of any new developments, anything that you can let us know from the front lines, and just be safe, Trace.
You too. Thank you.
All right. It's Dave Life with the Chitown Atlas podcast. Peace.